of the Beal family, repairing, replacing roofs on homes and businesses. Read the story at johnbealroofing.com. And when you need roofing help, support my sponsor, John Beal. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
And good afternoon and welcome into the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, January the 11th, 2023. It's 3:31 in the p.m. You're at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL, or maybe you're watching us on Facebook or on Rumble or on YouTube. You can on all of those platforms listen to us and eventually watch us again. I think that's coming in the very near future. That's the extended features that will be brought back as you listen to us. You can also download our apps for iPhone or Android and take us with you wherever you might go, even around the planet, as long as you have a Wi-Fi signal. You can listen to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show and everything here at News Talk STL. Hey, Chris Arps, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Boy, I tell you, this weather, I love this spring weather in January, even though I'm hearing we're supposed to have a change tonight. It's supposed to rain, cool things down, but I'll take this anytime, any place.
Go global warming. Yeah.
Exactly.
Actually, I found out what was happening. I asked my weather guy that I speak with in the morning on KWTO, on the Springfield station that I do, and I asked Jeff from AccuWeather. I said, okay, is this have anything to do with those patterns we hear about with the El Nino and the La Nina and all that stuff? And the reason I asked him that was because I was listening to our station on the way home, and there was I think it might have been in our top of the hour town hall report or something, where somebody was interviewed out in California. And the lady was like, yeah, every couple decades this happens with the La Nina pattern. She actually said that. And we have the flooding and the mudslides, and I have this ranch, and I have these ranch hands that live in this house that's a little bit lower than our main house, and we have to move them up. And so, she's like, we just do what we have to do, and we go about our business. And so I asked the guy, I said, is that what's going on? And he verified. He said, yes, we are in I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to say the wrong one. I think he said we're in a La Nina pattern. We're in the pattern that gives us here in the Midwest. It gives them all the calamities out in California. Oh. And then it gives us a little bit warmer, a little bit wetter of a winter. We basically get the aftershocks.
I had no idea.
Our amateur meteorologist here at the station, Stell, talked about that a couple of weeks ago at a La Nina.
I don't know if he's amateur.
I don't.
You know what? I think Stell studied meteorology.
He did. He said
retired professional.
He did.
Yes.
He said he did it for a couple of years, and in the third year, the math got ridiculously hard. And
Yes.
it's like, you know what? I better find another major.
Oh, well. So he came to radio.
Came to radio, but thank God for that.
Yes.
Chris, I thought of you this morning with this latest disaster at America's airports, not because you caused anything, but because didn't you say something the other day about, the Democrats may have been, I thought we had a conversation at some point in the last few weeks about Pete Buttigieg set up to fail it's like that's where they send Democrats to die, to run transportation. Because I thought you and I said something about that. It's like they stuck him there because, ultimately people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and all that, they don't want to have to worry about competing against him. And putting somebody in the transportation department, it's like there's never any good news that seems to come out of transportation disasters.
I think that's traditionally the case, but because Pete Buttigieg marks off a lot of different categories, he doesn't have a lot of experience. We joke about that. He was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and before he left his tenure there, didn't have good relations with African Americans. But I think that was a place where they could put him and he could cause the least amount of damage and say that they gave him a cabinet position. Unfortunately, all these situations with Southwest Airlines and this FAA situation, and we find out he's over in Europe when there's a cargo container crisis, that he's really over his head and not qualified for the job that he was appointed to.
We've learned he doesn't fly commercial. Pete Buttigieg doesn't fly on American Airlines, Delta, United, or Southwest, and he brings his
husband.
Is it his husband?
Yeah.
Okay. He brings
husband.
I'm just trying to get it right.
Yep.
Being politically correct.
I'm trying to get it right, Katie, in 2023. He brings him with him, and he doesn't fly commercial. So, it's always commercial airlines for thee, but not for me.
You know that the Treasury Secretary is probably next to the president right there on the terrorist watch list. They're a terrorist list. They want to get the president first and then the Treasury Secretary second because he's that important. I'm joking, tongue in cheek there.
Of course.
But,
I heard somebody make a joke about Pete Buttigieg's transportation background. They said the only achievement he's got in anything related to transportation was bringing those Lime scooters to South Bend, Indiana, and they may or may not have been successful. So, I don't know what in the world Pete Buttigieg has to do with transportation, and we're now seeing he really doesn't have any answers for any of these crises. I don't know if there is a government answer to these, but he says a lot of words, doesn't he? I've never known a guy who could say more big, fancy words, and then you come out of it, and you're thinking, well, that was interesting, and then you go, well, wait a minute. He didn't really even say anything, did he?
Well, I'll tell you somebody who doesn't have any words today. When I was driving in, I heard that there has been a second set of documents that have been found in Joe Biden's so-called think tank. People are starting to put the dots together that he got $1 million salary from this think tank while the Chinese donated millions of dollars to it. I've got a theory on this that I'm going to talk about on Chris's Corner at 420.
All right.
What may be happening? Two different theories.
I won't try to spoil this at all, but I was thinking today also about the fact that if the shoe was on the other foot, let's say this was a Republican, and they found classified documents at a Republican think tank, which then we learn has been sponsored and funded by the Communist Party of China to the tune of $54 million, and that these classified documents may have something to do with the country of Ukraine, where that Republican person's son had been hired by a natural gas company to the tune of $1 million to sit on a board about something of which he knew nothing. Put that all on a Republican, and you've got a very different interest by the national corporate media.
Yeah, that would be the case, but unfortunately we have a biased media that is covering for the Democrats, and we have what we have. I think that because we're having a second bunch of documents that have been found, there's going to be great pressure on the Attorney General not to charge Trump with these documents and to appoint a special prosecutor now just to give the appearance of fairness.
What else we got going on? We got a lot going on today guest-wise. In the 4 o'clock hour, we will feature Mike Ferguson. He's the host of that Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show from 5:30 to 9 a.m. every morning here on News Talk STL. Talk about all these national issues, but also Mike loves to focus on, and I love to listen to his focus on, a lot of the local and regional issues as well. So we'll probably get into the Missouri legislative session and maybe some St. Louis regional items as well. Chris's Corner, Chris just gave you a little teaser on that. That'll occur at 4:45. The Speaker Stump Speech at 5:07. And I'm really glad Katie was able to snag a Illinois state representative for us. I do not know Blaine Wilhauer, but we will get to know Blaine Wilhauer. We should remember that we have quite a few listeners across the river in southern Illinois. We thank you all for that. We try to pay attention to you all as well, and we have been paying attention to the fact that Governor Pritzker is pushing, and I believe they passed this crazy gun control bill, and it includes things like cashless bail and all these other ridiculous restrictions on your Second Amendment rights. So we're going to talk to the representative and find out what insanity is in this, and maybe to highlight just how good we all have it here on the Missouri side of the river.
Lane is really great. I've spoken with him quite a
you
few
have?
times.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
He's really great.
Good.
Young, fresh, always fighting the good fight in Illinois.
What region does he represent? Do you know?
107, the District 107. So I can't remember if that's Collinsville.
Okay.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Definitely in the listening area. Well, we're excited to make a new friend here this afternoon as well. He'll join us at 5:25. All right, it is 3:40 in the p.m. We will take a brief break here, and then we'll be right back to talk about some of the other issues of the day you may have missed while you were working or at school or running around doing errands. All that and more straight ahead here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101.9, 94.1. This is News Talk STL.
I've been waiting for your sign with a home tattoo. Happy birthday to you. Was created for you.
You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though. Just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39. Cold and windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day. A low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
The news and talk.
Steep surge of rising prices. I will visit the border myself.
That matters to St. Louis.
To see the chaos that he himself created.
101.9 and 94.1.
Credible information.
News Talk STL.
Columbo here for Zero Res, a company that we have relied on to save our home many times. It doesn't matter if it's carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, and right now they are offering the Columbo Special to start 2023. If you get a cleaning in the month of January and mention the Columbo Special, you'll get 23% off all services. Call and book now, 314-474-2020 or online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward or backward, it spells the same, Zero Res.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hopefulness over hatred.
Stop. They hate us.
Joe Biden hates.
Right.
Joe Biden hates me.
Right.
He calls me an extremist. He calls parents.
He called me up, so I hate you. He hung up.
He calls parents domestic terrorists.
Yeah, that's right. Like Brenda Talent, that kook. Brenda Talent that we had on the air Friday. I went back and listened to that, by the way. Oh my God, she was laughing so hard.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice. They're assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Those Biden files that were found improperly stored are really getting interesting, aren't they? We're talking about that on Wednesday.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Don't get brazen with me.
Oh, hell no! Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
But some frustration that he never met with migrants themselves. What do you make of that?
The real focus of his trip to El Paso was really on the state and local authorities, as well as, of course, federal agents, Customs Border Patrol agents at the border, to make sure he had a full grasp of the challenges that they're facing, the capabilities that they need, the resources they want, and how they're dealing with the migrants. That was the focus of the time that he was on the ground. He did visit a migrant processing center. There weren't any migrants there at the time he visited, but it was really the focus was on resources and capabilities, as well as having a chance, Neil, to talk to faith leaders and non-governmental organizations.
Well, that was John Kirby with the narrative of the regime's talking points. The problem is, Chrissy, the president visited a migrant processing center, but there weren't any migrants there.
Yeah, the last thing that the Biden administration and the Biden 2024 presidential campaign won is a photo op with the president of the United States with a bunch of migrants who are being held in conditions that some Americans may find objectionable, and they don't want to see those pictures and that video in a future campaign commercial. So I think that's the reason for that. They cleared the migrants out. They tried to make the president appear that he was in charge and was the leader and was on top of this. But I don't think the American people are buying it.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, where did you mentioned there's been a second batch of VP Joe Biden classified documents found? Did they say? Have they said where yet?
I think it's in the same place that they were found before, in this UPenn think tank in Washington, D.C. A second batch of documents has come out. We still don't hear the press asking what exactly are in these documents. We don't hear the press asking what is the timeline of these documents, how old are they, what do they pertain to, anything. It's just, the Biden administration's being transparent. See, they don't have the FBI needing to knock down their doors. They're giving all these up, and they're less than the 300 documents that President Trump had. That's the line that they're sticking to currently.
Katie brought up this point yesterday. The timing of all this is really weird. He hasn't been vice president in over 6 years. Suddenly they're kicking over trash cans and they're finding classified documents everywhere.
Man, you're going to make me want to just give the Christmas
I'm
corner
sorry.
so
I'm sorry.
badly.
I need to stop talking about it. Okay.
No, go ahead.
We've asked a lot of
I have to
questions.
bite my tongue there because I've got a couple of theories on that, and you scratched the surface.
Well, there's another one that you will dig into. Let's see here. What was I going to bring up as well? Oh, we haven't talked much about this weird dude, George Santos, this new congressman who pretended to – he's unfortunately a Republican. He's apparently pretended to be everything, but he really is. And, he said he was he said he was – didn't he say he was his parents had escaped – the Holocaust,
his
and
grandparents
he
had
was
escaped.
Oh, yeah.
He was Jewish.
He identifies as Jewish.
But he's not Jewish. He's George Santos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, I identify as Jewish.
The latest controversy with him last week was, and I didn't know this, and Katie, you'll be happy to know this. I don't care. But apparently George Santos is gay. When he
is
was,
he?
yes.
Or is he pretending to be gay, too?
I don't. Well,
we don't know.
Here's the story. Apparently, he and a boyfriend were living in Brazil, and the guy decided to look up George Santos on the internet to see who's this guy I'm living with. Found out he has a warrant out for his arrest in Brazil. The boyfriend called his father and packed up all his stuff and moved back home. And the charge is that George Santos found a credit card or something and charged up a bunch of merchandise. And because he left the country, there was a warrant out for his arrest, but he left the country, so they couldn't find him. So this guy, I'm telling you, it's
sketchy.
This is almost a made-for-TV movie. Who is this guy? Is that his name? Where is he really from? What's his real story? Is he a Bourne identity? It's like a Jason, Jason Bourne, man.
Exactly.
this is the big issue about saying, this is like one of the big issues about being like, well, I identify as this type of person. I mean, we saw it with Rachel Dozer.
Yeah.
She identified as being a black woman, and we all bought it because we thought she was, and we didn't think
She had a good tan, though.
Well, we didn't think at that time someone would be so silly and stupid to say identify as a black person and not be a black person.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I think, I said this when this situation all came out, was I think she has some racial identity problems, but I also think that she put on the wig and the brown spray tan because she was getting a lot of attention from the brothers.
Oh, okay.
And she wasn't getting as much attention from the white guys, so she decided to
switch it up.
I'm going to be a sister.
Well, she got a good gig out of it too,
She
right?
did.
Yeah,
She
NAACP chairman.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
wow.
isn't this pointing out that this guy is saying this like, well, I mean, I identify as being Jewish, like a Jewish man. That's how,
Jewish.
yeah, but it just. It's such a weird, baffling thing to me that we're living in a world where it's
so
like,
bizarre.
You think that's okay?
He claimed also that his mother was killed in the 9/11. She was in one of the
Holy
towers.
smokes.
Found out she actually died in like 2015.
Oh my god!
I mean, it's just
how do you get elected?
So
just
with zero evidence, I wonder. With zero evidence I have of this, I'm wondering if the guy's okay in the head.
No,
you know?
you can't. This is pathological lies. He tries to clean it up by saying, "Oh, everyone pads their resume." No, George, this is beyond padding your resume. This is like NCIS.
This is psychological.
Yeah,
this is psychological.
Yeah, this is what you see
euphemism.
on the FBI profiler. People like this that lie with impunity like this. Like it's second nature.
Well,
this ain't right.
The knives are out now in the Republican Party of the state of New York. They issued a statement. The Nassau County. So yeah, I used to live in Nassau County. The Nassau County Republican leadership has called on him to resign. Quote: George Santos's campaign last year was a campaign of deceit, lies, and fabrication. Nassau County GOP Chairman Joe Cairo said in a statement he has no place on the Nassau County Republican Committee, nor should he ever serve in public service, nor as an elected official. He's not welcome here.
Look, I think it's safe to say that Representative or Congressman George Santos will probably only be serving one term. But look, I wouldn't step down either. When is the next time George Santos is going to make $170,000 a year?
That's
or
yeah.
those benefits.
Or those benefits.
But
exactly.
is it also just baffling to see that people would elect such a liar?
Well, they didn't know. I mean,
But when you do your research, I mean,
well, that's
guess.
what a lot of the controversy is. How did the guy that was usually when you have a candidate of that nature, you try to find out who they are. You do an opposition research on them before they are hired, and the Democrats dropped the ball on the opposition research. I mean, everything that he put on his resume, no one fact-checked it and was like, wow, this guy is a superstar. He should be in Congress.
Whoa, this was interesting. This just came out. I'm not familiar with this woman, but do you guys know supermodel Tatiana Patitz?
I don't know.
Okay, I think that's your alley.
Because I'm a
She's-
supermodel. Is
Yes,
that why?
because you're a supermodel. Well, I just bring this up because we've got all these people collapsing and dying around the country. She has died at the age of 56. She was in George Michael's Freedom music video along with Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, and other iconic models. So
sad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people passing away right now at such young. I mean, I think we did talk about this yesterday, but I mean, we still don't know what happened with Diamond.
No.
Maybe we didn't talk about this on air.
they said she had, check this out, this supermodel who dropped dead at the age of 56 was said to have an illness. That's all we get.
Man,
that's all we get from the media.
That
or
is
from anyone. She had an illness.
This is where, I mean, and I don't know if it's the family jumping in saying we don't want her history.
I think because it's so
something.
sudden, the family doesn't. They want to grieve.
Been a lot of these occurrences. A lot of athletes have been collapsing. It's been really weird.
But that's kind of where all of a sudden we've had like 2 weeks now of very young people having medical issues, Diamond passing away. I mean, I don't know if it's all related or anything. It's just a very bizarre 2 weeks of sudden deaths.
I think at this stage, it's for me the phenomena when you have your eye on a particular car and you test drive and look at it, and then all of a sudden when you drive around, you see the car everywhere. Maybe because we're having these sudden deaths that we're focusing more on them, even though I don't want to take away the fact that these are, athletes that are in their prime condition, relatively young people that are driving but dying, but and they are high profile.
Yeah, like once you get a spotlight on one, then it's like, oh, okay. Then there's a couple others that you see. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm going to go out on a big limb and assume that at least two of us in this studio probably did not watch the Golden Globes last night.
Oh my God, that happened last night? I had no idea.
3 of us, 3 for 3.
Yeah.
Man,
I haven't watched
read
that
up on
since the
stuff.
80s.
I should say I watched it for 30 seconds.
Sometimes I like that stuff.
I was flipping around and I somehow saw that they were on, and I didn't know they were on. I'm like, oh, the gold. Like, I don't remember anything telling us the Golden Globes. Like, I saw no advertisements or anything about it, so it was on. So I clicked in for just a second, and it was at the time where they were awarding the Best Actor thing.
Yes.
I watched that, and then I got bored with it, and I moved on.
Golden Globes is TV, correct? That's TV.
It's movies.
TV and movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's one of those.
Hollywood Foreign Press.
I like the TV one. I like
Emmys.
when they.
I think that's the Emmys.
That's always fun to me. They nobody seems like they're too big for their britches on the TV one.
At one time, the Golden Globes were bigger than the Oscars. That was the main award to win back in the golden days of Hollywood before Oscars was a Golden Globe.
Did Ricky Gervais, was that the one that he did or was that the Oscars? That
was he the former
blew
Prime
up?
Minister of France?
No.
British comedian.
The comedian that blew up everybody
blew
in
up.
Hollywood.
He blew up the Golden Globes,
And I'm
right?
trying to think, was it the
now I
Golden Globes or
remember.
was
Now I
it the
remember that.
Oscars?
So the only reason I bring it up was because there was some news made out of this. I'm sure they had a bunch of woke stuff and all that, and I'm sure they hated on Donald Trump and Republicans. But apparently the host last night, the MC, was an up-and-coming comedian by the name of Jared Carmichael. I have never heard of Jared. Have you guys? He's a black comedian, and he apparently did a great job and was very funny. Anyway, the big joke of the night that caused the headlines was he made a joke about Tom Cruise and Scientology.
Oh, I love it.
And Tom Cruise was not there.
Well.
And at one point, he walked out with a bunch of Golden Globes, trying to hold a bunch of them. And he said, "You know what? I would trade all 3 of these for any information on the safe return of Shelley Miscavige," who I had to look up.
Yes.
She's apparently the wife of the founder of Scientology, who hasn't been seen in public in 15 years.
Yep. It's insane.
Weirdo beans. Yeah. All right, let's get to our break here. We will be back with the 4 o'clock hour featuring Mike Ferguson and Chris's Corner. All of that is next on a fantastic Happy Hump Day on the Tim Jones and Chris Harp Show. 101.9, 94.1. News Talk, STL.
Driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, it's Katie. We here at News Talk STL really appreciate the growth in our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Safe Money with Doug Voss, Crypto World, and the Natural Institute of Health that have all become part of our family of advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. 1019 941 News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Thousands of flights across the U.S. were canceled or delayed after a government system that offers safety and other information to pilots broke down. The problems on Wednesday stranded some planes on the ground for hours. Pat Cavanaugh, who was delayed at Newark Airport, says he wonders if it's as simple as a computer glitch.
It makes you kind of nervous. Is there something else that maybe we're not being told right now that might be going on rather than just a simple software type of issue?
The White House said there was no evidence that a cyber attack triggered the outage, which upended travel plans for millions of passengers. President Biden says he directed the Transportation Department to investigate. There are calls from the New York Republican Party for Congressman George Santos to resign following his admission that he made up most of his resume and family life and history. Joseph Cairo Jr., chair of the Nassau County Republican Committee, said Congressman George Santos lied to the people who elected him.
He has no place in the Nassau County Republican Committee, nor should he serve in public service, nor as an elected official. He's not welcome here at Republican headquarters for meetings or at any of our events. As I said, he's disgraced the House of Representatives, and we do not consider him one of our congresspeople.
Santos has said he will not step down. The fate of a devastated salt mining town in eastern Ukraine is hanging in the balance. Ukraine says its forces are holding out against a furious Russian onslaught in one of the fiercest and bloodiest recent ground battles of the nearly 11-month war. Soledar is under heavy shelling by Russian forces using jets, mortars, and rockets. Ukraine's deputy defense minister on Wednesday denied Russian claims that Soledar had fallen. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 268 points, the Nasdaq rose 189, the S&P advanced 50. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month.
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though. Just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39, cold and windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day. A low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Is your portfolio prepared for the biggest risks facing investors today? Hi, it's Tim Jones. High inflation and a rapidly changing economy may impact your investments. If you haven't made appropriate changes, your portfolio may not be positioned to address some of the biggest risks in today's economy. That means it's time to request your free portfolio review from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel Financial Advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL 101.9. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free portfolio review, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
Even Biden's sentences are experiencing inflation.
MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans.
No clue. He's just totally out of touch.
MAGA Republicans.
We're in a world of hurt in this country.
MAGA Republicans.
His mental capacity is diminished.
MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans.
101.9 and 94.1.
It's unbelievable what we watching.
News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now. They just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
My lawyers have not suggested I ask what documents they were. I've turned over the boxes. They've turned over the boxes to the archives, and we're cooperating fully with the review.
And welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here at 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Sorry, I'm eating chocolate cake. I'm doing something Jeff Allen always tells us not to do.
Oh, good.
Now, this was for
Stell's birthday.
Happy birthday, Stell.
Happy birthday, Stell. I think his birthday was maybe last week. So we had Mike's. I think Mike's.
A lot of birthdays.
Mike's is New Year's Day, I think, or New Year's Eve, and then Stell's was last week, I believe, and then someone else, maybe Joey's.
I know Stell told me he was turning 39.
Oh yeah, young guy, young man,
young man.
Mm-hmm. But that chocolate cake, I think Michelle made it.
Did she make that? That Michelle Rush.
Oh, talented.
Even though she's not here because her office looks like a bombed out bomb shelter.
I'm texting her for all of us.
She is still making her presence well known. Yeah, welcome back to the big program. You're at News Talk STL 101.9, 94.1. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. If you ever miss any of our programming, or if you hear us talk about a guest that we had on that you missed, or if you're unable to catch us live or you want to hear something again, we podcast every single thing. A lot of people ask me all the time. They're like, oh, so you do podcasts? I go, well, no, we're broadcast radio, but yeah, we do podcasts too. We do it all. We do broadcast radio live every single day. And then every single one of our shows is podcasted. And all you have to do is simply go to newstalkstl.com and you can download our podcasts and you can listen by the segment. And there's great descriptions on there so you know exactly who you can expect. And I know that you, Chris, and Katie, you are both. I'm not as big of you guys are big podcasters,
yes,
right? You guys listen to a lot of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need to get into podcasts more because I know there's a lot of great information out there. And Chris, you said you have a little trick to get through them a little faster, right? You can speed. I didn't realize you could do this. You can speed podcasts up.
I actually listen to them at 1.5, so you get through them about a little quicker than you would normally at normal speed, and it helps me get through all the ones that I listen to, and it helps you think a little quicker because your brain actually gets used to it. If I hear it at regular speed, it doesn't sound right.
Really?
Yeah. It's like I need it because it sounds normal. They don't sound chipmunky at all.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Yeah. Is it like a more like?
No. Okay. It's just a little faster than you think.
Interesting.
Probably couldn't speed up a Ben Shapiro podcast.
No, I've tried. I can't listen to him at 1.5. It's just way too fast.
That is the fastest talking human I've ever heard.
Smart man. Too.
I mean, so smart, but the sentences that he can string together and how many words go in those sentences, I just can't. I'm like, does he take a breath?
Yeah.
Does he breathe?
The fact that he can have the thoughts ready for how fast he's speaking is really amazing. Sometimes I get on a roll. I know I talk fast sometimes, but I can't keep it up like he can, you know? He does it for like 3 hours.
That's his cadence. His cadence is to speak quickly. On every single podcast with Joe Rogan, when he's on with Joe Rogan, same deal, his own podcast, his own shows, whenever he's giving lectures. I mean, his cadence is 1.5 speed.
It is naturally. So you cannot listen to him on regular speed, but at extra speed. But anyone else you can, I think.
I had a little tidbit for the audience. So in case you all start hearing from other media sources other than us, which I would call all questionable, that the Republicans in D.C. are not doing anything, and there's just, they're destroying our system of democracy and blah, blah, blah. I found a really neat source that you can go to, and it was kind of obvious when I thought about it, but I stumbled across Steve Scalise's Twitter feed, and he is the majority leader in the House. And I don't know if this is how he tweets or not, but I noticed he's being very disciplined, where he's not cluttering his Twitter feed with a bunch of stuff that I clutter it with, which is my every single thought or battle with every troll in the world. He is reporting on like the actual things that they are doing after they accomplish them in the House. And so, this might be the like official feed of his majority. Well, no, it's just at Steve Scalise. So it's at Steve Scalise. So for instance, if you go back to like 2 days ago, he says, breaking news, the House just voted to repeal funding for Biden's 87,000 IRS agents. Then he talks about the fact that he has co-sponsored a bill with Congresswoman Ann Wagner, Congresswoman here, the Born Alive Act, the Abortion Survivors Protection Act. Then he goes on to say, here's what we're going to investigate. Here's every single oversight committee that's going to be set up. Biden's border crisis, pandemic relief fraud, Afghanistan withdrawal, energy crisis, COVID origins, Biden family's influence peddling. And then he talks about those committees being actually voted on and established, and so on and so forth. So it's a very quick snapshot of what they've done in the U.S. House. So then the media can't say they're not doing anything.
That's great. Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I just thought that was interesting for our listeners. If you want to follow Steve Scalise, it's at Steve Scalise. He's the new House Majority Leader. So there you have it.
Awesome.
Did we talk about the bowl championship game that occurred on Monday night that was a complete and utter blowout? Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't.
Katie's like, sports? What?
Sports.
I didn't even know it was about the championship was on until I saw it the next day.
So
honestly.
Georgia apparently set all kinds of records. I think they beat TCU 65-7.
Yeah, it was a thumping.
Yeah, and so I was wondering, was TCU supposed to be there in the first place, or?
I think they were the good team this year to go against them, from what I follow. But I think Georgia's just is a better team and improved that. Mm-hmm. I think they earned the spot. They just got thumped.
Yes. That's a pretty
Yeah.
Big thumping.
Especially
Wow.
on a national stage like that.
Ay. That's pretty bad.
Okay, he's like, I understand that.
I get that.
Yeah.
I don't get sports. I don't get much.
I said, I get lopsided scores.
It was pretty much over at halftime.
Yeah.
I think they set a halftime score for points made. And,
gosh.
It's ironic, too, because on my Facebook page, when you get your memories, last year at this time I was in Georgia.
Oh.
At the state capitol, we had we're meeting with legislators, and Georgia had won the state championship, I think, about today, a year ago. So, first team I hear to win it back-to-back in quite a while.
Wild.
They are really taking away the throne from who's it's usually
Saban in Alabama.
Alabama has been up there forever. Clemson, it's been Alabama or Clemson for quite a long time. Ohio State is always in that conversation, and none of them even made it to the Final Four this year.
Yeah, Georgia has a good recruiting class, and I've always felt that the teams like I think we talked about this. The teams like Alabama, the basketball programs like Duke that dominate and win championships. I mean, if you have that reputation that the coach is this good and you've got this legacy, I mean, aren't you naturally just going to attract the best players coming to your school? So the people that are sitting on the bench would start anywhere else for any other team. So, I ain't trying to take anything away from Saban and Krzyzewski, but I mean, and you've built the programs to where they are, so I got to give that to you. But at this stage, you're getting all the best players.
Success breeds success.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a lot easier to recruit. Yes.
I do have something that Larry Connors sent me as he was leaving the building
Oh,
today
Larry
that,
Connors.
that I'd like to talk to you guys about, and then something else you guys could bring up to Blaine Wilhauer, if that's okay. Larry Connors sent this to me after several, this is reported from Fox 2, after several Illinois law enforcement agencies said they wouldn't enforce the new gun ban, Governor J.B. Pritzker had a strong response: comply or hit the road. As are all law enforcement all across our state, and they will in fact do their job or they won't be at their job, he said Tuesday during a press conference. Locally, sheriff's departments in a few different counties have said they will not enforce the new law, which makes more than 100 guns and magazines illegal because the state deems them assault weapons. At least two groups say they are preparing lawsuits to overturn the law that Pritzker signed Tuesday night, saying it's unconstitutional, something that Guns Save Life Executive Director John Bosch said he will be providing in court. So basically the big gist of this is Pritzker threatens to fire police for not enforcing the Illinois gun ban.
I think Governor Pritzker is playing with fire with this move. I know this plays well in Chicago and the Chicago suburbs and the gun people that want to take away your guns. But, in the rural areas, a lot of those people are Democrats and they're Republicans and they're gun owners and they have a tradition of having guns. And I think he could face a backlash from a lot of Democrats in the rural areas of Illinois if he goes through with this threat.
The other thing that he is not thinking about is what happened last year with the Supreme Court decision on the New York gun case, where a lot of people are caution New York against overreaching and passing such a far-reaching set of gun control measures. And they're like, look, if you go too far, they're going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. You're going to lose, and it's going to set back all of the wonderful things us gun control nuts are trying to do. This looks like a huge overreach bill. And so a lot of people on the left may be thinking to themselves, you go too far, you're going to get – the case is going to – the law is going to get challenged. And this could completely overturn everything.
I think they've basically taken a page out of the Obama and Biden White Houses, where you go ahead and enact something that's probably unconstitutional and get it into place and dare the courts to rule it unconstitutional. I think that's what they're doing here.
I look at this, and it's very similar to Missouri, where I know that St. Louis City is the big city of Missouri, and if you're not from here, you would think that encapsulates the entire state. Right. But Pritzker's forgetting that Chicago is the big city of Chicago, and it's humongous. But the rural areas, like you just said, Chris, are the majority of what compiles the state of Illinois, and they're not going to put up with something like this.
Not at all.
I mean, it's a lot of farmland. There's a huge population in southern Illinois. I know that you guys are going to talk to Blaine Wilhauer about all of this, but to propose something that you think will be beneficial for the city of Chicago and not think about the rest of the state, I don't know how this dude won. That is so sad.
And it just shows you just Biden and Pritzker and a lot of the liberal mayors and governors, they are so beholden to this woke philosophy that no matter how crazy it is or how unsafe it is for the public, they are so wedded to it because they fear the activists, and the activists and Twitter's fear has convinced them that this is what the majority of Americans think when they don't. So they just follow these foolish and unconstitutional many times policies.
So
yeah, I'm convinced that that there's actually only about 15 people on Twitter. And they've got several thousand accounts, especially on the left, and they all just yell and scream because it's the same talking points all day long, And there's a very small section of humanity, actual humanity on there. So one of the many reasons we're discussing all of this is that Governor Pritzker has signed into law an Illinois, quote, assault weapons ban, and we're going to speak with an Illinois State Representative, Blaine Wilhauer, at 5:25 about all of these issues. What is actually all in this thing? What has been the reaction to it in the once great land of Lincoln? And probably most importantly, what are the possible constitutional legal challenges that may be foisted against it? All of that and more at 5:25 this afternoon. All right, we've got Mike Ferguson, host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning, coming up. Mike Ferguson, Chris, have you seen the pictures of Mike Ferguson? Did you hear what happened to him?
No, what happened to him?
Mike Ferguson looks like he had another eye operation because he was apparently playing ball the other day. He plays, I think he's crazy, he plays fast pitch baseball still. He took a ball hopped on him and hit right in the eye and broke some of the bones around his eye orbit.
Mike, it's time to take up shuffleboard.
Yeah. Golf, my friend. Golf. We don't get too hurt in golf. Every once in a while, someone swings and misses.
Look, you need to shuffleboard with the old folks. He knows he won't get hurt.
Talk to Mike Ferguson about his geriatric years and what he should be doing instead of fast pitch baseball and some of the most important issues of the day when Chris and I return here on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. This is 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, driving the leftist crazy all afternoon.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though. Just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39, cold and windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day. A low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, Columbo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, including braces. Dr. Boscia uses the My Forever Smile Braces system, which straightens teeth many times in less than a year for half the price of traditional braces. Traditional braces or Invisalign can cost $6,000 or more, but Dr. Boscia only charges $29.98 for My Forever Smile, and incentives and insurance can lower the price even more, plus New Creation offers in-office financing. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
I met Chris Squire, okay?
Did you really?
Bass player
Did you really?
for Yes, yeah.
Is he a real big guy?
Ken Thunderstealer. The next thing I was going to say was he is such a big guy. My God. I can't take it anymore.
You can. Keep taking it.
No, I'll take it.
All right.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you'd better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today's the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Fox News commentary.
Well, the Biden White House wanted me and Tucker Carlson to be reduced on social media for our COVID commentary. Am I shocked? No. Am I mad as hell? Yes. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Democrats predicted an end to high inflation, but nothing has changed. In fact, food and housing prices are still going higher. Hi, this is Stephen K. Bannon, and I urge you to protect your savings from inflation by diversifying into a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, simply text the word SHELTER to 989898, and you'll get a free info kit on gold IRAs that will explain everything. Again, that's SHELTER to 989898. There's no obligation or purchase required.
to April 2021, when the Biden White House digital director personally reached out to Facebook and instructed the platform to reduce content from me and my colleague Tucker Carlson. The email read, "The top post about vaccines today is Tucker Carlson saying they don't work. Yesterday was Tommy Lahren saying she won't take one. This is exactly why I want to know what reduction actually looks like." The email was obtained thanks to a lawsuit filed against the Biden White House by a coalition of states' attorney general. The Biden team wanted us reduced, and they were very angry when big tech didn't immediately or completely fulfill that demand. But you won't be surprised to see that Facebook was apologetic, that their reduction wasn't sufficient, and of course they made it right. Well, you may have censored me, which appears to be a blatant violation of the First Amendment, but you did not silence me, and guess what? You never will. This is beyond concerning. This is criminal. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight, wanna let loose. I was dreaming of bigger things and wanna leave my old life.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
I was lightning before the thunder.
Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder.
You, President Biden, you are the first president of the United States in a very long time that has not built not even 1 meter of wall. And that, we thank you for that, sir.
I don't know, Chris. Is that what we want? Do we want leftist presidents of bordering nations to be thanking us for having a wide open border?
Probably not, but I mean, he's saying the loud part out loud is thank you for taking in all these illegals from Central America and South America because we don't have to.
Glad it's not our problem.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President.
Let's see what our next guest thinks about that and lots more.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm the world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
No.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Yes, indeedy. Mike Ferguson, the host of the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 5:30 to 9 a.m. every morning here on News Talk STL. Make sure you bookend your days and fill them with everything News Talk STL Nation. Mike, before we get into very serious subjects, Chris and I have decided it's time for you to pick up shuffleboard.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And not the kind where you throw the heavy metal objects at each other.
And if you get injured again, I'm going to recommend video games only.
Oh, man. I tell you,
Are you okay? So you don't look good. It doesn't look like it feels good. It probably hurts.
Yeah, well, in case for those who haven't heard, I've got a fractured orbital bone because, coaches always said when you're catching a baseball, keep your eye on the ball, right? And I did it in the way they didn't mean to, and I took a Rawlings right to my eye. Now, the good news is the retinas, because I had surgical procedures on both of my retinas in the past 6 months, those were not hurt. I'm just even uglier than I normally am right now with black and blue shiners everywhere, man. It's awful.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, comment on leftist. That was an interpreter, by the way. That was an interpreter that was interpreting the new leftist president of Mexico, praising Joe Biden for his lack of border security. Maybe Republicans should put that in a can and use it for the first campaign ad of 2024 if Joe Biden runs.
It should be the first campaign ad, the second campaign, the last campaign ad, and then the campaign ad right after that as well. Yeah, and when he thanked him, and of course, the president just kind of nodding politely and smiling, of course, I mean, to me, that just is further proof that what we talk about here on this station is not hyperbole. Joe Biden actually has a pro-illegal immigrant policy and mindset that puts other countries before the interest of the United States. I don't know how much clearer it is at this point.
Mike, let's come back here to St. Louis and get local for a minute. Apparently, and I think this is the second or third time, a former white employee, is suing Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner for discrimination. What do you know about this latest case?
Yeah, so Rebecca Getz is her name, and she was a worker in the diversion program, which basically takes, young offenders or first-time offenders and says, okay, we're going to get a court-appointed alternative process. It could be, job search, could be counseling, could be education, it could be rehab, it could be anything. And we're going to shuffle you through that to avoid you going to criminal court and possibly going to jail. And what she is saying is that between, the other employees in there, they were told her, you're not capable of doing this because you're white, so you can't be effective. And then when she said, hey, that's not right, I can still do this job, she was suspended and then fired without cause. And that's what the lawsuit is because she's accusing them of racial discrimination. And Kimberly Gardner, according to the complaint, was in the room when it happened and did nothing. And actually the man that she's accusing of actually saying, one of the men she's accusing of saying the words, literally has a criminal record, including, accusation of murder against the guy. He was part of the diversion program. So we don't know for sure what's going to happen. It's going to be a few months before, they could even get ready for trial. If there's any shred of truth to it, it's going to be a massive payout at the expense of the taxpayers and the taxpayers' insurance company. That's assuming they can get everybody to fess up to what happened if this is actually what happened. But the reality is that those of us who have been watching Kimberly Gardner all these years seems to be par for the course. So I won't be shocked if it's true.
So, Mike, is it time for the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, given whatever powers he has, or if he doesn't have those powers, for the Missouri legislature to step up and take control of the situation? We always talk as conservatives, we favor local control first, but what happens when the locality completely gets off the reservation and just becomes an epic disaster of a nuclear mushroom cloud?
Yeah, which is what's happening. I mean, 70% of the voters in St. Louis City voted for Kimberly Gardner, and they're going to do it again. So it's a really hard question, Tim. I mean, at some point, I think the Attorney General and Eric Schmidt, alluded to this and saying, listen, you're not prosecuting people accused of violent, serious crime. Let's come in, let us deputize our people. We'll come in and help prosecute. And, of course, that's rejected. Kimberly Gardner doesn't want it. I mean, Joe Biden's got a pro-illegal immigrant mindset. Kimberly Gardner seems to have a pro-criminal mindset. I don't know what the law allows on that. And I don't want to set too much of a precedent where, any Democratic majority in a legislature can come in and overrun a local Republican one, with this, the converse of what would happen right now. But the fact of the matter is that people are unsafe, and violence and violent crime is happening in St. Louis City in large part because criminals know that there's a lower risk of actually being prosecuted in St. Louis City. There's got to be something the Attorney General can do or the legislature could do, maybe that would allow Attorney General prosecutors to actually go in and prosecute crime, whether Kimberly Gardner likes it or not. Or allow, other prosecutors to be special counsels to prosecute if she's not doing the job. But it is a very, very thin line to tread right there because, we do want local control, but the reality is that people's lives are on the line here.
Mike, let's stay local and go out to St. Louis County. 4th District Councilwoman Shalonda Webb was elected the new chair of the St. Louis County Council. As a person that grew up in her district with Jamestown Mall in her district, I hope that they make some type of progress on that. But are you expecting anything different to happen with her being the chair on the council, or are we going to just have more rancor?
We're obviously always going to have some rancor, and I'm actually okay with that a little bit because if there's any rancor, that's rancor that means somebody's pushing back against Sam Page, and I always want that. If that's what rancor means, I say bring it on. My guess is after the last couple of years, 2 to 4 years, I have a feeling everybody's going to really try to get along a lot better. And the realities of the budget shortfalls in St. Louis County are putting a lot of pressure on the Democratic majority because they own this entire problem. their spending, it's their recklessness that brought this on. You can't blame this on the few conservative people out there. So I have a feeling you're going to see a little better relationships on there. But if Sam Page tries anything authoritarian, which is in his nature, he's going to do it at some point, I think you see the dialogue fall apart again, and I'm on the side of the rancorous ones if that happens.
Speaking to Mike Ferguson, host of the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 5:30 to 9 a.m. here on News Talk STL every Monday through Friday. Mike, now that U.S. House Republicans have established their leadership team, they've hit the ground running, passing various pieces of legislation. We know a lot of those are going to be pretty much just ceremonial in nature, or perhaps signaling where they might go, where they're allowed to go in the appropriations process later on this year. They can also unleash their investigatory authority. Mike, what would you like to see the new thin, but definitely a majority of House Republicans do this year on the federal level to show a difference now that we have divided government?
Yeah, kind of what you were just alluding to there, Tim. I mean, I think that the House Republicans should be very bold. You know, they vote to, defund the first batch of the IRS agents. All of these pieces of legislation are DOA in the Democratic-controlled Senate. You know, we know that's going to be the case, and certainly they don't have the numbers to withstand a Joe Biden veto. But I think what they should do is pass it over and over and over again. All of these bold steps: fund the southern border security. You know, defund the things that are in the Build Back Better and Green New Deal aspects that made it into other things. Be absolutely bold, and then put the spotlight on the Democrats when they refuse to even debate it. And then when you look at things like, you know, a bureaucrat in the Biden administration saying we're going to come after your gas stoves, they need to be all over that by reining in the regulation, constantly pointing out the authoritarianism and extremism in the Biden administration, going after that. And if they lose in the Senate, they lose in the Senate. But what's happening is we're going to get 2 years of Republicans with an opportunity to say, here's what we are doing, fighting for you. They're the ones not fighting for you. We've done our part of the job. Give us control of the Senate so we can finish the job.
Mike, this is a PSA for you. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but your personal marijuana cultivation application has to be in by February 6th. So you may want to get on top of that.
Hold on. Hang on.
Make sure you brush off the weed that's on there too.
Yeah,
Just joking.
Yeah, precisely. Cheech, hold on, I'm on the phone. Hold on.
That's my question.
Is
ahead,
is this the one that's for personal use?
Yes,
like,
the
recreational
personal marijuana cultivation application.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna
Or your
go.
PIMCA.
I'm gonna say something, and this is somebody who is not a marijuana user.
Mm-hmm.
I say you do it all you want. It's not my thing. If it's my property and I'm growing it for myself and it's a legal product, I think the government doesn't have any business knowing what I'm growing and doing, if anything. I think that's
Can you sell it to
violation
somebody?
of private property rights.
Can you sell it to somebody for their personal cultivation?
No, I think at that point you're in commerce, and it's probably legitimately covered under the law. But if there's some stoner who can find the motivation to actually plant a garden and tend it, I say more power to you, dude.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I know you've been covering the Missouri legislature for a long time because you used to interview me back in the day, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. So, Mike, I think you're extremely, you're one of the informed citizenry here in the state who's seen a lot of different people come and go, a lot of different policy positions come and go. Some ideas sink, some swim. Mike, it's been a rough and tumble last few cycles, to say the least. With all the interviews you've done recently on your morning show, Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL, and the people you've spoken with, do you get a sense? I'm kind of getting a sense a little bit. There's a little bit of hopefulness in the air. Now, this could all crash and burn in the next few months or so when people decide they all hate each other. But at least at the outset, is there a different attitude this year? And if so, what priorities would you like to see the Missouri legislature do for you as a citizen and taxpayer?
Yeah, I am actually weirdly optimistic this year from a conservative and libertarian perspective. Now, part of me, I'd say, 2/3 of me is very strangely optimistic that this year we're going to see some really big movement on conservative stuff. And the other third of me thinks I'm Charlie Brown running for the football with Lucy holding it. Yes. That's the other part of it. I think that there is an appetite, and this is just from my on-air interviews and my private conversations with a lot of lawmakers. I think there's actually an appetite to expand school choice in Missouri, which to me should be among the top priorities. I really hope that can happen. And I think that there is enough feedback from conservatives in particular who are saying, okay, you guys bragged about a big tax, cut. None of us are actually feeling it. It's pennies. You've got a massive surplus because of all of the federal funding. We need to see something that we can actually truly feel. I mean, when the first round of Trump tax cuts took effect, everybody went, whoa, my paycheck's bigger, my bank account's bigger. And that's when things started to turn around, 6 years ago. I think we want to see something like that in Missouri. A lot of lawmakers are talking about initiative petition reform, which I think is the right thing to do. But I think before they pass the bill, they need to be out messaging that hard because universally, other than conservative media, they are going to be absolutely, hammered with misinformation and biased reporting. But I think it's crucial that they get that done if we want to keep, any sort of conservative movement moving in Missouri. But I think that with the addition of the conservatives in the state Senate in particular, I actually think that this could be a very conservative, successful session if everybody can keep their egos in check, which Tim is, as you know, you've been around that setting. Keeping your egos in check in any sort of political environment is pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Mike, who's on the show tomorrow morning?
Still got a few calls that are out on that, but I am going to be looking at this whole note that there may be some more Biden files that, they forgot to tell us about in the original batch. We're going to find out exactly what's there, if anything, and also the Republican Party in the part of New York that the Congressman Santos is from, they called on him to resign today because of his complete lying. Should the Republicans, that's a question I'm asking, is should the Republicans insist on him resigning? This was a flip seat just out of ethical considerations, or should they say, we got a 5-seat majority, we better take whatever we can get? I think it's an interesting question.
Mike, he didn't lie. He padded his resume, okay?
Right. He padded it an awful lot is what he did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right, Mike, we encourage everyone, all of our evening listeners, to check you out and Gabe and Stell, the entire gang, in the morning for your morning drive, 5:30 to 9 a.m., right here on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson, the host of Mike Ferguson in the Morning. Mike, thanks for all the time this afternoon.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it. It's always fun. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Talk to you next week. Oh, he's at AVP Radio Show. He's got a little syndicated product he runs on the weekends on a bunch of different stations. So he's got the handle AVP Radio Show on Twitter if you want to follow Mike Ferguson. You know who kept my ego in check when I was in the house?
Who?
Suzanne. That would be Miss Suzanne.
I was going to say, you better say the wife.
She
Suzanne.
I'd come home and I'd be like, I was going past all these bills and took on these senators. And she'd look at me kind of like, that's nice. You're not the speaker of this house. Now take the trash out.
Change a diaper, Tim.
You're not the speaker of this house. Take the trash out. Change a diaper. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Katie. That was around diaper change.
That's what she said. Oh, yeah, it was, Tim.
Back in the day. All right. Chris's Corner is up next.
Yeah, chess instead of checkers or sabotage.
Fantastic. Excellent tease indeed. We'll be right back with that and so much more here at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
In my classes while I was scheming for the masses. Who do you think you are?
You're listening to News Talk STL.
What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to
11, exactly.
From the stage while you were clapping in the nosebleeds.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though. Just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39, cold and windy, gust to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day. A low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest First Alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Because that's where the votes are getting stolen. When you get into the facts and logic and reason thing, it drives me crazy because you're right.
I call it the oh my God virus.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic. Everyone here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth in our business during the first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Southern Armory, Rhino Shield, Steph's Pizza, and the Walner team that have become one of our many advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. We have a wide variety of affordable advertising options. And thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Hey, it's Tim Jones. You need an event space that people will talk about later and forever? View 17 in Brentwood is that place. Perfect for corporate, private, or even public events. View 17 is ultra modern and fully broadcast ready for live streaming your event. And get this, all tech rentals are included in the rental fee. View 17 on the 17th floor of the old U Club Tower, like no other event space in the area. What a view. Check it out right now at VUE17.com. VUE17.com. I might even see you there.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On Thursday's program, wait, there are actually some more Biden files? No, come on, that can't be. All right, we're talking about it.
Mornings starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
My lawyers have not suggested I ask what documents they were. I've turned over the boxes. They've turned over the boxes to the archives, and we're cooperating fully with the review.
Guess if he says it twice, Chris, it's more serious.
In his own mind, President Biden caught with his hand in the cookie jar, not once, but twice now with documents. I have a couple of theories on this whole development, and we'll talk about it next on Chris's Corner.
Chris.
The whole thing is a joke.
Good God, we gotta do something here, people.
It's not personal, son. It's strictly business.
My favorite black leader of all time is Frederick Douglass, who asked after emancipation, well, we just freed the blacks, now what are we going to do with them? And his answer was, leave us alone.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
The title of today's Chris's Corner, as I teased it earlier, is Chess, Not Checkers, or Sabotage. That's the question, I think, when it comes to this development that Vice President at the time, Joe Biden, had top secret classified documents at a think tank where he was supposedly working after he left office. Now, when I say chess, not checkers, what I mean in this instance is the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, did they intentionally, after the election, of course, so it couldn't affect anything, but are they intentionally now, a month or 2 months later, releasing these documents to try to get Merrick Garland, the AG, off the hook And what I mean by that, there's a lot of pressure on him from progressives and the left to indict President Trump on his having documents at Mar-a-Lago, but he knows the political peril in that of a administration basically prosecuting their predecessor. It would look terrible. It would look hypocritical. And so are they releasing these documents now to get Merrick Garland off the hook so he will not have an investigation because they know how political it looks? Could be. I don't know. The other situation with this documents is the sabotage. And that came to my mind when we learned that a second bunch of documents had come out. You know, Joe Biden is in mental decline. He will be 82 years old in 2024 when he runs for president. It'll be the oldest ever. We remember before the Democrats pulled out this miracle in the midterm elections, a lot of folks were worried about Joe Biden. Would he run for president? Would he not? There were people waiting in the wings like Gavin Newsom in California to run against him. Because of the miracle, the red wave did not occur. Joe Biden got a new life, and people were, the Democrats especially, were coalescing around him and said, okay, he can be our standard bearer. He has proven that he can beat Donald Trump, so that we'll keep him. But you wonder, is this sabotage? Is this the way that those who know that Joe Biden has cognitive decline, are they trying to release these documents now on top of an investigation that Jim Jordan will be holding in the House this year regarding all of this stuff? Is this a way to ease Joe Biden out, and this is the greasy slope that they're using to do this? You know, I find the release of these documents very suspicious, especially when you have Jim Jordan, who's going to start major investigations in the next couple of weeks. As you have the release of these documents that bring up so many questions that we've talked about for the last 2 days. One, what are in these documents? Are these documents related in any way to Ukraine, to China, to Hunter's business dealings? We just don't know. But it could really, really hurt the president if we find out what's in those documents and they are somehow related to the Jim Jordan investigation that is going along at the same time. Could spell real trouble for the Democrats. And, you know, if you're going to ease Joe Biden out of the presidency, the best time to do it is after a strong midterm victory, keeping the Senate, not losing the House as much. And this gives plenty of time for them to groom a new nominee, because we all know it will not be Kamala Harris. She is not ready for prime time. Mm-hmm. But easing him out this year and starting in early 2024, for those who don't feel that Joe Biden can be the standard bearer, this could be a way to get him out early enough in order for a new candidate to step in there. I don't know. This is very intriguing. There is a lot we're going to learn in the coming days, but there are headwinds and gray skies ahead for President Joe Biden. And as I like to say in my favorite show, for the Biden crime family and for Democrats, winter is coming. And that is Chris's Corner.
Indeedy.
What do you think? Sabotage?
I'll tell you.
Or are they playing chess, not checkers, and trying to get this stuff out now and to help Merrick Garland not indict Trump?
The most interesting point you made that really has me noodling is the timing of this thing. And you can make so many arguments, right?
Yeah, it's suspicious
folks,
as hell.
First of all, if you want to weigh in on Chris's Corner, 314-912-1019, 314-912-1019. We'd love to get your comments as well. We'll talk in the meantime. Yeah, so on one hand, you're like, okay, well, they suppressed this coming out before the election. But on the other hand, Chris, if you're going after Biden, you wouldn't release this before the midterms, right? Because it probably wouldn't have affected the midterms much because he wasn't on the ballot. Secondly, it would be forgotten by now. So you're right. You wait till after the midterms, all the dust is settled. Republicans have elected. They waited until after the Republicans elected their speaker. They waited until pretty much all the excitement in January was over. So this would be the story. And then they're doing a drip. This is like what happened with Trump,
the drip,
right?
Drip. When the second bunch came out, that's when my conspiratorial mind went through. somebody is but somebody is sabotaging this guy and going to do it with a drip, drip, drip. And right in front of these investigations that are coming just makes it very suspicious to me.
I think you're right. I'm sure there's a faction of Bidenites who are saying, hey, look, we survived. We did great in the midterms. We were supposed to get trashed. Our man is fine. Yay, he doesn't have his fastball anymore, but he's okay. I will bet you, Chris, you're right. There's another group of Democrats who are probably going, I think we got lucky. I think we got lucky with the Dobbs decision and the abortion stuff and January 6th. All that's gone now. The January 6th thing ultimately was a flop, and Kinzinger and Cheney and the rest of them are gone. The committee is gone. The abortion issue will survive in some form or fashion, but I think they're looking at Biden and going, come on, he is slipping every single week. He's not going to make it 2 more years.
And what makes this suspicious to me, too, is, the Democrats, the media is circling the wagons. They're protecting him as much as they can.
Which we all expect.
And as much as you expect. But there's also calls for people that are saying, hey, and these are prominent kind of voices that are saying, hey, Merrick Garland has to appoint a special prosecutor for this. It's not as bad as what Trump did. There's not as many documents, but this is pretty serious to have these classified documents. You're starting to hear calls from Democrats on this, which makes me even more suspicious. Is this some conspiracy? This the start of easing Joe Biden out of there.
And that sets off the call for a special prosecutor by some Democrats is a huge alarm bell to me, because I've never, ever insulted Barack Obama's intelligence or cunning or skill as a politician. I think he's incredibly brilliant. I don't like any of his policies or his philosophies. But the one thing I always remind people that Barack Obama never did, despite the scandals, Fast and Furious and some of the others, he was smart enough. He never, ever appointed a special prosecutor. And here you have Democrats in Joe Biden's second year suggesting that.
Yeah,
Chris, that's never a recipe for anything good. It's going to happen. It seems like the party in power, they always get dinged pretty hard when they let a special prosecutor be appointed.
Yeah, and for them calling for this, and as I said, I hate to keep beating the dead horse, but this investigation that Jim Jordan is going to have in the House is going to reveal some very serious stuff. We all know that. The only question is, will the mainstream media cover it? But those of us who'll be watching C-SPAN and listening conservative radio and listening conservative podcasts, this is going to be some bombshell stuff that's going to be released from these investigations.
Katie, are we making too much of a big deal out of these Joe Biden classified documents, or is this a big deal because the media literally lit the world on fire when we found classified documents at Mar-a-Lago?
I think that we have to make it equally as that's wrong. I think what they did to Trump with the FBI raid is totally wrong, because he was already in the process with negotiations and trying to figure out how to get these classified documents in the right hands. He turned those classified documents in. That what they did to Trump was completely wrong. However, I think that we need to make a big deal about this, and there should be equal amount of attention on Biden and on these classified documents as there was on Trump.
And you remember with the Trump documents, the FBI was leaking out what was in them.
Yes,
We've heard nothing what's in these documents that they found, which really makes me suspicious. Mm-hmm. What is in these documents? That's the question I want to know.
Such a fair question.
What were they having?
In the Biden Center funded by the Communist Party of China. Yeah,
Think
let's
tank,
remember
quote,
all
unquote.
of that. Unbelievable. All right, got to get to a break here. It is 4:57 Central Standard Time. When we come back, the Speaker's stump speech on one of Tony Colombo's favorite topics. Should we have a third party? Is it time for that? United States of America. I found an interesting take on that. I'll talk to you about that next. And Illinois State Representative Blaine Wilhauer on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 101-9841, News Talk, STL.
Another great one for you, ladies and gentlemen. The new joke, Uncle Sam's short form for taxes. The first line, how much did you make? The next line, send it all in.
That's really not that funny. But it's what a lot of people do in retirement. They take money out of their 401k or IRA and end up sending it in when they pay the taxes. Steve All at the All Financial Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan. In fact, he invites you to take the All Tax Challenge. What if your current plan included thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare premiums and a lower Social Security check? What if the savings you realized would allow you to retire early? Wouldn't you want to know about that now? Take the All Financial Tax Challenge and find out. There's no charge. Call Steve today at 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory services offered by All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in Missouri. Insurance products are offered through its affiliate, All Insurance Group, LLC, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-649-8619. 800-649-8619. 800-649-8619. That's 800-649-8619.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The Supreme Court is refusing to block implementation of a New York gun control law while it remains subject to a legal challenge. Bob Agnew reports.
A lower court had previously put on hold key provisions of the law. It was enacted following the High Court's ruling in June that enshrined an individual's right to carry handguns outside the home. At a later time, the Second District Court of Appeals allowed the gun law to be enforced as legal proceedings continued. In rejecting the challenge, Justice Samuel Alito notes the court did not rule on the merits of the case. Rather, he says the denial reflects what he calls respect for the Second Circuit's procedures in managing its own docket, rather than expressing any view on the merits of the case. Bob Agnew reporting.
President Biden has ordered an investigation into the computer snafu that grounded thousands of flights at airports across the country this morning. Debbie Herring, who flew in from Johannesburg and was trying to catch a connection at Newark, says there was little information from the airlines.
Very confused. We don't know what's going on. We keep on checking the boards and it doesn't really tell us much what's going on.
The breakdown showed how much American air travel depends on an antiquated computer system that generates alerts called NOTAMs, or Notice to Air Missions, to pilots and others. Storm-ravaged California is scrambling to clean up and repair widespread damage. A new storm entering the state Wednesday is expected to be limited to the north, while the south gets a break. Crews are working to reopen roads closed by rock slides, swamped by flooding, or smothered with mud. More than 10,000 people who were ordered out of seaside towns on the Central Coast were allowed to return home Tuesday, yet thousands of people living near rain-swollen creeks and rivers remain under evacuation orders. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 268 points. The Nasdaq rose 189. More at townhall.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Here's the wall.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though. Just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39. Cold and windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day. A low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest First Alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
I met Chris Squire, okay?
Did you really?
Bass player
Did
for,
you really?
Yes, yeah.
Is he a real big guy?
Ken Thunderstealer. The next thing I was going to say was he is such a big guy. My God. I can't take it anymore.
You can. Keep taking it.
No, I'll take it.
All right.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
It's funny how huge history-altering events can take place in this country and around the world, and most people seem to have no idea they happened. It's not that Americans are stupid, it's that our media outlets, often under direct pressure from the U.S. government, suppress those stories, the stories that matter. The effect of this arrangement, and by the way, it's the intended effect, is to leave the population of the United States dangerously ignorant on questions that affect their lives. At this point, you have to wonder if the average, say, New Yorker is really better informed than a factory worker in Pyongyang, North Korea. Probably not. Both have been effectively blindfolded by information monopolies.
I think that's a big problem. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here at 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. It is Wednesday, January the 11th, 2023. Well, made it to the middle part of the week. Congratulations, 5:06 in the PM. Chris Arps, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's supposed to be cooling down tonight, but boy, great weather today. Fantastic.
Yeah,
and
folks,
Katie's all bundled up in the
she is.
studio like it's January 11th.
It's cold in here,
You act like it's January 11th.
It's cold in this building.
Katie, I'll turn up the thermostat that doesn't work.
For peace of mind.
psychological
Space
thing.
psychologically.
Yeah.
Look, Katie, it's hot in here now.
Ooh, look.
I can't believe
sweating.
it. Sweltering,
I have to take my sweater off.
It's freezing in this building. I don't care what either one of you say.
By the way, we got a public service announcement about our chocolate cake that we've been talking about.
Ooh, very good.
We're really upsetting our listeners. They're like, we don't have chocolate cake.
Oh, God.
Michelle Rush made this chocolate cake, and apparently it's low-calorie chocolate cake. Is she just pulling your strings to make you feel better?
I texted Michelle Rush for all of us, and I said, oh, my gosh, that chocolate cake is amazing. And she texted me back and said, thank you. First time making it, which is incredible. This chocolate cake is fantastic. So first time making it.
I have to admit, Michelle, I thought you went to Schnucks.
You did. Well, that's how good it is. And
It is.
baking is a science, let me tell you. I mean, you can really screw up some things if you get some things wrong with baking.
I watched Chopped.
So you know. So the first time she's ever made it, and she also said low calorie.
That's impossible, the low calorie.
That's
I mean,
insane. There was no like hee ha ha after she said that either. It was like, and it's low calorie.
She is a butcher, baker, candlestick maker. I'm telling you,
is.
if we ever have a listener event again, which we will,
Yes.
and if we ever have a listener event, or if there's like a VIP thing or something where Michelle has anything to do with the food, you're all missing out if you don't come. You notice how we don't talk about Joe Rush much?
Well, Michelle, I mean, Joe
Sorry.
is a lucky man.
No, he
Michelle
is.
is 1 in a million.
Maybe
It's all about Michelle Rush.
It is all about Michelle Rush.
Maybe we need to
Hey.
enter her into a Food Network competition.
Maybe so.
Like-
Like baking. It's got to
Yes,
be baking because
like,
that's
yeah.
what she really shines on that.
You know what show, Katie, you were talking the other day about putting on stuff that's like white noise in the background. Stuff that's not necessarily, it's not bad, and it's maybe even good, but it's something that you don't have to pay like constant attention to. You can just put them in the background. So for us in the Jones home, and sometimes we do watch these very closely, but other times we'll just put them on and let them run. My daughter, Abby, loves watching Guy Fieri's grocery games.
Oh, yeah, that's
Guy's
fun.
grocery games,
Yes.
G3.
Uh-huh.
And I have learned so much about food, like different kinds of food,
Mhm.
ethnic food, food from different parts of the world. And then you get these cool teams together of people from all walks of life. Young, old, men, women, different races, ethnicities. Some of them have restaurants. Some of them have bar and grills. Some of them are trying to be chefs. I saw a father-daughter game they had,
cool.
which was fun. And the stuff they make in 30 minutes after running through a grocery store is amazing to
You
me.
should watch the other shows,
Okay.
Chopped and all the other ones.
Chopped.
Becky has gotten me into those. Beat Bobby Flay.
Oh, Bobby Flay.
But
yeah.
I watched a great one the other day. It's the one where they have there's 4 contestants they start out with, and they each get down to 2, and then they have the Chopped champion. And it was this one guy, he was a black guy, he was like 25, 26, he ran a food truck
No
in
way.
North
So
Carolina.
smart.
And the other guy was like, "Yeah, I've opened my own restaurant in L.A. I've worked at 3-star Michelin restaurants, blah blah
Really
blah."
prestigious.
The food truck guy beat the 3-star
Love it.
Michelin guy, and I was like, "That is just so great."
It's so good.
Because he was just bragging about his experience and all that. It's like, dude, you got beat by a food truck guy. Yeah,
And they're the people that work at the food trucks too. What's incredible
They
about
know how to
them-
throw together stuff really fast
Yeah.
under
Yes.
stressful conditions.
And you could tell some of the stuff that he was preparing, you could tell that he had went to culinary school just for some of the dishes that he was making and the terms. I'm like, all right, he ain't just some brother that, he's gone to culinary school, but it was.
He ain't making you a soft pretzel, brother.
Exactly, but it was. I love that show. Watch all of those
Chopped.
Food Network, Chopped, Iron Chef,
Iron
all
Chef
of those
is fun,
competition
yeah.
shows are just.
I
you learn so much.
I know this is more reality TV
Mhm.
than anything, but I love watching Gordon Ramsay rip into somebody. I love it. He is so
He's a little
mean.
too intense for me. I've
I
never
love it.
watched him.
I mean, to see this is so heinous. To see grown adults, yes, chef, yes, chef, like beat red, crying.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Judge Judy and Simon Cowell, all those types of people. I love it because they're just so vicious.
I told my mom, man, I was like, you know what?
evil
There's no
side.
way I could ever be on Judge Judy because there's no way I would let that woman talk to
Oh,
me.
man.
Talk to me that she does to some of these other people. I was like, who the
You're
you
this
think
big
you
after
talking
you
to?
leave Judge Judy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They wouldn't have me on Judge Judy.
With those food shows, what's amazing to me is watch. So we all have been to nice restaurants, and where they come out with a presentation, and you're like, ooh, wow, this. But to watch them take like everyday ingredients, like you get to see it from beginning to end, right? And they take and then Guy will sometimes throw in like bubble gum or something, or like crackers, and they'll take it. It's just normal crap, and they make it look like filet mignon and lobster. It's like. Wow,
You gotta
it
watch.
just blows my mind.
Watch the other shows, and you'll
Okay.
be in because
Okay.
it's the same thing.
I'm gonna have to watch Chopped.
Chopped,
Yeah.
Iron Chef, Beat Bobby Flay, all of those shows. Becky has gotten me into them, and it's just amazing how these folks, they'll give them a basket full of stuff that just has no rhyme or reason to it,
And they make it
and
perfect
just
dishes.
all of a sudden they know what they're going to make. That's what amazes me. They've got a basket full of stuff that makes no sense, and they're like, instantly, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to make.
Guy Fieri too is so interesting. Is it Fieri or Fieri?
Fieri, I
Fieri.
think. Yeah.
He is so interesting because I've heard, I'm not like the biggest fan of him, but I think that he's a funny guy. I've heard that he is a big philanthropist. I hear that he has
gives
like
a lot of money away.
Yeah, lots of money that he gives away, lots of organizations he's involved in. I mean, I think that he really is one of those celebrities that's like, if I have the wealth, I am willing to share it, and I don't care. I mean, like, as long as it's going to a good purpose and a good cause, I'm more than willing to and happily giving my money away.
Yeah, and I think there's, you guys did a story last week about Vanna. Pat Sajak. And and there's a little bit going on with that with Fierro's show because his son is on there on one of the shows that he does. And Becky and I are like, man, he is strictly on the show because he's Fierro's son because he really has no role. He'll make some introduction and it's like, he just made $100,000 there. It's like, this is big time nepotism here.
Kind of hangs out.
Yeah.
And guy looks like some flamboyant, like West Coaster, He's from Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from like Ohio.
That's what I also love about him. Every time I see him, he always has like this really distinct look to him. But when you hear him talk, he's just an average guy.
Yeah.
He's just
got
like
a Midwest, flat Midwest accent.
Super relatable.
Have you watched the show that he does, Tim, where he goes to these different restaurants around the country?
Diners.
That dude will eat anything.
He will.
I love it. I'm like, eat that piece of garbage.
He will eat anything.
He looks like a chef, doesn't he? He's kind of got the Friar Tuck look,
With that spiky hair. He
The
looks
funky
like David
spiky hair,
Stokes.
Spiked
Back
hair.
in high school. Back in high school.
I had something hit my email inbox today that you all should have hitting your inbox. It's Wednesday, and Katie's News Talk STL update hit my mailbox today, like it hit many of yours. If you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about and how you can get a hold of it, you simply just go to newstalkstl.com. Katie, the button is, refresh my memory. I'm trying to think of where the button is. The subscribe button.
If you go to newstalkstl.com, and I believe now maternity.
Did we change it?
No.
Move it?
Maternity leave has fried my brain. If you go to newstalkstl.com, and now I can't even type it into, this is what I'm typing in, just a bunch of gobbledygook. It's on one of the tabs. I believe it might be under how to listen. I'll find it. And whenever you go to newstalkstl.com, all you have to do is give us your email and your name, and then you are signed up to our newsletter. We're only going to send you one newsletter a day, on Wednesdays a week. So go ahead and go to newstalkstl.com, and you're going to be able to...
Katie.
Is
You
it
were
Connect?
right. Your memory was spot on.
It's Connect.
You go to how to listen.
Okay.
Nope. You go to newstalkstl.com. You click on how to listen in the giant button bar. You scroll down, and there says sign up for our newsletter here.
I feel like I'm losing my marbles.
And you can download the apps there, too, which I had forgotten about. And there's the stream. There's everything.
So all we need is your name and your email address, and you just hit subscribe, and you can get our one email that happens every single week on Wednesday, and it's just full of fun stuff. We're featured in the
Chris,
newsletter.
did you? I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the picture.
Our expressions look so goofy. It looks like something we staged, but those were all natural reactions.
And it's
we were completely shocked.
Joey,
got us.
Joey is great. He is one of our video production. I mean, he's an engineer. He's a man of many talents.
Genius.
He did a great job. So we won't spoil it, but go ahead and watch the video. It is so funny.
Yeah, watch how Joey got us and why. And, of course, at the bottom there, near the bottom, last but not least, more to the point, Susie Moore's latest Wolves and Experts clothing. And the fact that Larry Connors has joined us here on the station. He follows the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show every single day, Monday through Friday. The Larry Connors USA Daily Report. The Larry Connors USA Daily Report. Chris, I enjoy listening to it on the way home. It's like, cool, now we got something really neat and cool to listen to on our station on the way home.
And, I grew up with Larry Connors. His bio says he started in 1975 all the way up to 2012 or 13 it was. And it's nice to hear his voice. I watched Channel 4. I kind of fluctuated between 4 and 5. And it's nice to hear Larry Connors' voice. All we need is Julius Hunter there, too, and brings back a lot of memories.
One of my one of my wiser friends said to me the other day, you guys got Larry Connors? Well, now you guys are really on the map. And I was like, what, are Chris and I chopped liver? And he was like, no. I grew up with Larry Connors. He was a little bit older guy. And he was like, he was so excited that he could listen to Larry Connors now every single day following our show. So there you go.
Common sense commentary.
He does really cool. You know what he reminds me of? The commentaries remind me of Paul Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
The old Paul Harvey. Katie has no idea.
Katie's like, who's that?
Katie, he would say,
legend.
He'd say, and now the rest of the story. He's kind of got the same cadence as Larry.
I was going to say he has the same cadence, a little bit like Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
That's
a little bit
like Bill O'Reilly.
The amazing thing about who were we just talking about? The guy there,
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey. When you used to hear him do his show, you could never tell when he was talking about the news story. He would drift into an ad, and you'd be 30 seconds in. It's like, oh, the story's over. He's doing an ad now. He was brilliant at
Good
that.
marketing.
Yeah, you'd be sitting there. You'd be going, Paul, tell me more about those vacuum cleaners. Yeah, all those Wait a minute, that's an ad. Yeah, he would.
He was excellent at that.
So smooth. Guy was smooth as butter. All right, we have time this segment before we get to Illinois State Representative Blaine Willauer. Blaine Willauer is going to join us at 5:25. I should talk about J.B. Pritzker's Illinois assault weapons ban. Boy, folks, you're going to be very happy you're living in the Show Me State after you hear this interview. But before that, let's do the Speaker Stump Speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
So that's another reason we need communism.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
So I found a really interesting piece that we speak about. This subject is something that comes up every so often, especially on Columbo and Katie, because it's one of Tony Columbo's favorite subjects, and that's the question of whether America needs a third party. I was doing something the other day, and I stumbled across this article by a fellow by the name of, this guy's got a lot of vowels in his name. It's Nick Diauliis. He's E-I-U-L-I-I-S. That's a lot of vowels. Can I buy a consonant? Nick Diauliis. He's got his own website. It's highly trafficked. He's an excellent writer. And the subject was America needs a third party. And I'm thinking to myself, the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, boy, Nick, you're making great points, but do we? Would it work? Here's some of the points Nick makes. Nick says, hey, I'm a big believer in America, where it came from, what it stands for, and its future potential. Hey, side note here, sidebar by me. I wasn't sure what I was going to get into when I was reading this. I was like, okay, is this guy a leftist? Is he a moderate? Is he a big conservative? Is he a disenfranchised Republican? Like, why? Why is he saying we need a third party? And as I'm reading this, I'm realizing that Nick is a big believer in foundational principles. So I'm thinking to myself, well, why doesn't he like the Republican Party anymore? It's got a lot of warts and problems. But how does a third party solve that? So anyway, Nick goes on to say, the United States is far from perfect. But it still represents the best social, political, and economic system to respect and nurture the individual. He says, however, many sense that there's something very wrong with the nation is heading. I mean, look, if you look at any of the public opinion polls, he is spot on there. There is deep dissatisfaction with a lot of our institutions, with both of our political parties, with all the leadership. People are dissatisfied. Now, a global pandemic followed by a sense that we're in an economic recession, whether or not anybody will actually admit it, has probably lended itself to that. But Nick says, look around at our national political leaders. Is this the best we can do? He says America needs a course correction. Now, he does say, despite the fact he's arguing for a third party, he says drastic change is not needed. The nation should not radically tear itself apart and then rebuild itself into something, which is pretty much what the left wants to do, that would be better abstractly but would likely be much worse. He says keep the Electoral College, do not stack the Supreme Court, defend the Bill of Rights, preserve the free market. So far, he's sounding very much like a Republican, a conservative Republican, many might argue. So I'm wondering, okay, where's the third party thing come in? He goes on to say our political system is in dire need of new blood. Two parties have a stranglehold on governance for far too long. They once were different shades of similar ideals. Today they have split into orbits where they represent extremes that cater to the minority fringes and leave little for the large middle. He says that on the Democrat side of the aisle, moderates have no chance. The leftists are always going to win because that's where they've taken their party. That's where the base has gone. And moderates are now terrified to be moderates, even if they are. He says, as to Republicans, let's see. He says, as to Republicans, they also have a problem as well. They're not providing any sort of actual solutions to a majority of America either. He says all of this dynamic, this competing dynamic of epic polarization like we've never seen before, is a talent drain on candidates. Many moderates with distinguished careers in politics have decided to step down rather than face a primary drubbing. Too many high potential candidates never start political careers because of the radicalization of the party process. Now, what really caught my attention was what he was asking for to do. He says choice is good. 3 options at the ballot box are better than only 2, particularly when the current 2 have radically evolved to the extremes. He says the best fit for a third choice is libertarian. There are 2 classic strains of libertarianism, which I had really never thought about. He said the first is the pure and the more extreme, the Ayn Rand view. All government intervention is a form of coercion. Coercion of the individual is immoral. Thus, government tends to be immoral. Government is not to be minimalized as much as it is to be eradicated. Government should not prevent or subdue individual choice, even if such choice might infringe on the rights of the others. However, he goes on to argue about the second version of libertarianism, which I had really never heard of it described this way. He says the second strain of libertarianism is more practical, the Milton Friedman view, where government should still be minimized to maximize freedom of the individual to choose, but where government protects the ability of others to do the same. Individual choice remains paramount, but it must not infringe on the rights of others to follow their own values. This second strain, when properly framed, would be attractive to many moderate voters today. I wonder, would it be? Government out of our bedrooms and classrooms, the state spending only what it takes in, the shrinking of the Orwellian administrative state, releasing the Darwinian free market, and protecting individual rights and the Constitution. He wraps up by saying, and there's a lot in this piece. It's about a 4 or 5 page piece. But what he goes on to say near the end is, few of us desire to practice politics, but all of us want to choose from the very best of options when it comes to selecting our political leaders. That's what the Founding Fathers envisioned, and that's what we deserve. Let's get what we deserve. And that's the stump speech for today. Chris, I know the Libertarians have been trying, and I like a lot of what they have to say, but they've never gained any real traction.
Look, you can have as many strains of libertarianism as you want, and that's very admirable. But the bottom line is libertarian candidates elect Democrats and split the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And until you solve that question, I can never get with the Libertarian Party. What the Libertarian Party needs to do is to come within the family of the Republican Party, Conservative Party, and work and try to incorporate your ideas into the Republican platform instead of standing outside the tent and dividing the vote and putting in people that we both disagree with in office.
Yeah, because everything that Nick argued there was really just a divergence, was an offshoot of the Republican Party. So like you said, if you have 2 parties that are essentially of the same philosophical root of the same tree, then you're right. Then all you do is elect Democrats, right? Because you split the votes. I like what our buddy Mike Franco advocates for with the Republican Liberty Caucus, the conscience, the libertarian conscience of the Republican Party working within the Republican Party. And if more libertarians join the Republican Party, Chris, they would have an effect and we'd win more national elections.
Yeah, I had the same view about pro-choice Republican as well. Don't stay at home and not vote or vote for other candidates. Bring your views within the party and try to convince us that are pro-life that your position is viable.
Yeah, philosophically, I like a lot of what Nick had to say in this article, America Needs a Third Party, but in practicality, I think our position that we just described would function a lot better in reality. All right, let's get to Illinois State Representative Blaine Willauer. He's going to talk about this ridiculous law that Governor J.B. Pritzker signed. Maybe that will open up more floodgates to more people moving into the Show Me State. Hate to do that to poor Blaine, but he may agree with us. We'll find out when we come back on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
When you haven't got a prayer.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though, just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39, cold and windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day, a low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest first alert. Alert Forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make American great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL.
You know, home selling season now has become pretty much 365, 24/7. But if there is a particular season for it, it's right now, right? It's in the spring. It's the beginning of the new year. People get job relocations. They start new adventures. They look to maybe move somewhere else because it's the beginning of the year, and you're getting a fresh start and a new upgrade, perhaps. Well, if you're thinking about selling your home, if any of those situations apply to you or something I haven't even thought of, then I want you to call the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD. You're going to reach Rodney and Jen Wallner. They are going to offer you, when you sit down and speak with them, a flexible commission plan tailored to your family's specific needs because, look, folks, they know it's all about you and your needs, not about them. They will offer you that plan with a no obligation, no long-term commitment. So there's no pressure. There's no stress. There's no anxiety. There's just the desire to sell your home. And if it doesn't work out, you can walk away. But I know you'll be happy because the Wallners have so many approved home buyers. They're going to guarantee to obtain you an offer. They are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor. And they are a husband and wife team. You get a unique family perspective, not just that of one agent, when you give Rodney and Jen a call at 314-810-SOLD. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team, Rodney and Jen Wallner, today for a free listing consultation. Sell your home with this top-producing real estate team, Rodney and Jen Wallner, 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Chris Dorr from the American Firearms Association. Chris, Democrats notoriously do not want to answer the question, what is an assault weapon?
You know, the AR-15 that they want to ban. When you hear assault weapons ban being used by the radical left, just think firearms ban. They want to get rid of all of them. They use terms that they're not, that they don't bother to define along the way just to try to score points.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link. Your smile is your number one asset.
I was in a car accident. My front tooth cracked. I'm definitely embarrassed to smile. I got mini dental implants. It changed my life.
If you are missing one or more teeth or suffer from loose dentures, mini dental implants might be the solution for you. I have placed mini implants with amazing results. Mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Let me give you your self-confidence back and give you the ability to eat the foods that you love to eat, but that you simply can't at this point. Plus, best of all, the cost to you is much less than with older, more traditional dental implants.
It made me feel like me. Like I can smile and feel like Ashley. Just want to say thank you.
We are here to help you at the Dental Link.
Call Dr. Alan Link today at 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville. That's the Dental Link at 314-794-6464.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. You're listening to News Talk STL.
You'll take away the biggest part of me. Ooh, no, baby, please don't go.
End of quote. Repeat the line.
And if you leave me now, you'll take away the very heart of me.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
So what's next? Are you going to run again? Are you going? Like, do we get to look forward to this and galvanize again?
I will likely run again.
Yeah!
I don't know.
Wow. Well, I guess when all you've got is Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke, that's what you get excited about, huh, Chris?
Oh, my God, has been. You know, Stacey Abrams' star has really taken a dimming since she was beat by Governor Kemp for the second time. And I think a couple of days ago, one of her foundations was sued for sloppy record keeping.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep an eye on that. Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. As we've been telling you all this afternoon, we're very excited to welcome Illinois State Representative Blaine Willauer to the program. He is available 24/7 at Blaine Willauer on Twitter. Representative, good afternoon, and welcome to News Talk STL.
Hey, it's good to be with you here from the cesspool of left-wing Marxist tyranny here in Illinois.
Yeah, Representative, we're so sorry. We often refer to all you all over there as the once great land of Lincoln, but maybe hope will spring eternal. But in the meantime, we have to deal with Governor J.B. Pritzker, who's doing his best, Gavin Newsom, Kathy Hochul impersonations every day. He has passed a bill that has been described as an assault weapons ban, and I know your Democratic colleagues think this is just the best thing from sliced bread. Would you just first tell our audience what all is in this monstrosity?
Yeah, basically it's a wish list of every anti-gun measure that you could have. It basically bans the sale and production and transfer of almost every semi-automatic weapon, including shotguns that are semi-automatic, and it bans magazines, basically anything over about 12 rounds. It bans it from manufacture, sell, everything else, and it creates a gun registry. They're going to grandfather in the people who have these weapons currently, but they're requiring them to register with an endorsement on their FOID card that includes make, model, serial number of your weapons. So it's a straight-up gun registry here in the state of Illinois, completely unconstitutional, and it's not something we're going to stand for.
Representative Willauer, Chicago, New York, and other very liberal cities have some of the strictest gun laws in the country, and we see that they lead the nation in gun violence and gun deaths every year. A lot of the critics say that even though Chicago does have a tough gun law, that the reason that it doesn't work is because surrounding states around Illinois have looser gun laws than Illinois. What do you say to critics who say that?
Well, I mean, the states around us are actually abiding by the Second Amendment, and it's important that you bring up that Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the nation. A lot of these assault rifles and stuff are already illegal in Chicago. The magazines are already illegal in Chicago, and it's leading the nation in violent crime. You know, really, the folks in Chicago, I say it all the time, if they want to stop the violence problem, they need to work on the opportunity problem. They've destroyed opportunity, good jobs, good high-paying jobs. They've destroyed that in their communities, especially in the inner cities and the rural parts. And nobody wants to mess with that stuff, though, because they'd be messing with too many of their own benefactors if they started tackling real issues. We don't tackle real issues in this state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Representative, could you explain? I think we have a ton of listeners on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, especially in southern Illinois, in your district and beyond. But, of course, we're based in St. Louis, so we have also a great many Missouri listeners as well. And I think our Missouri folks are I don't think they quite understand what a stranglehold that Chicagoland has on the rest of the state. I look at it often with the county map after each election. I mean, Illinois is almost red from top to bottom, side to side, except for that blue part up in the upper northeast corner. But it manages to lord over the rest of the land of Lincoln, doesn't it? I mean, it's pretty dramatic.
Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah, we've got a problem in the northeast section of our state. Every other part is actually pretty good, but there's 12 million people in the state of Illinois. About 6 to 8 million of those are in the greater Chicago area. And, those people have had representatives up there that haven't stood for anything for a long time on the Republican side and never given anybody a reason to vote for Republicans. And this is the kind of stuff that you get when you wipe out an entire generation of a party like they have. Our departing leader from that area, Republican leader, voted for the assault weapons ban. This is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with in this state. If we want to take this thing back, then the Republican Party needs to actually start standing for something. And what better place to start than standing for our actual Constitution. So, I said it on the floor of the House last night, and I'll say it again. We're not complying with this. We've stood by and we've watched these Democrats shred the Constitution in this state, especially over the last 3 years. They shredded it during COVID. They shredded it with their so-called Safety Act, and now they're doing this. And we're not going to comply with it. They're not going to do anything about it either because they can't. There's no enforcement mechanism on this. You're not going to see Central and Southern Illinois state's attorneys and sheriffs going out and enforcing this thing. Are they going to enforce this ban on 2.5 million gun owners in the state of Illinois? I don't think so. So it's time that we stand up to these people. We've seen in our part of the state when we stood up during COVID, there was nothing they could do about it because we have the law, we have the Constitution on our side, and we're right.
Representative Wilhauer, we often hear on this side of the state how there is Chicago and then there is the rest of Illinois, which is far different than Chicago in terms of politics and demographics. There was a movement several years ago, I think it was several counties in Illinois were looking to secede from the state. Do you have any information on where that movement is right now currently?
Well, the constitutional bar on that is so high in this state, it would take a 2/3 majority in the legislature to put that on the ballot, and then it would take something like 60% on the ballot for it to pass. So, there's 78 Democrats in the Illinois House, and there's 40 Republicans. So there's nothing in it for these people from Chicago to kick us out because they can keep us here. They can dictate to us, and they can keep getting our tax dollars. So people in Southern Illinois right now are just kind of stuck. But a lot of this is a problem of our own making. There's 2.5 million firearm owners in the state of Illinois. That's enough to win a governor's election and start to change some things in this state. But people need to get up and get out and get involved. Start voting. Vote these people out, Democrats and Republicans.
We are speaking to Illinois State Representative Blaine Wilhauer. He's at Blaine Wilhauer on Twitter. So, Representative, you pretty much started down the path of answering my next question here, and that's, in light of the fact that things like this heap happening, and a direct attack on Illinoisans' Second Amendment rights, the fact that we saw a national story last week, once again, the U-Haul trucks are heading out of New York, California, and Illinois, not in. I'm wondering, when do the remaining folks like yourselves, common sense Illinoisans, when is there enough of a reaction to wake up enough people to potentially turn the tide? Do you see any diamonds in the rough anywhere? Do you see any chances? Have y'all hit rock bottom? I guess is my question.
Well, there is some thought that maybe we hit rock bottom before this 2022 election, but obviously that wasn't the case here. But we've just started the Illinois Freedom Caucus. We are growing. We started with 5, and after the inauguration today, I think we're going to grow that pretty substantially. People in the state are hungry. I've been all over this state. I traveled the Bailey campaign all over the state, and people are hungry everywhere for leadership and people to step up and let Illinois actually take advantage of its natural advantages, because we've got more than almost any other state. We've just been burdened by generations of poor public policy from corrupt politicians that are more concerned about their own election and their own pension and everything else than they are about the regular working folks in the state. So, the biggest thing we need to do is we need to fix the Republican Party. We need to have an actual opposition party in this state. We've got too many go along to get along. Special interests are controlling both parties. But that's changing. That started to change in 2019 when a group of us came in there, and we're building that out now. We've got the Freedom Caucus. We've got support from D.C. on that as well. So we're building something here, and hopefully that's going to be the catalyst for change. But it's certainly not going to be easy, and it's certainly not going to happen overnight with the hole that has been dug here.
Representative Wilhauer, we often hear about the financial issues in the state of Illinois, especially the pension funds. They are grossly underfunded. But I hear that Governor Pritzker recently signed legislation giving those at the highest levels of state government a substantial pay raise. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. He pretty much, they assaulted us on everything, on guns, abortion, your pocketbook, all of that other stuff. And they think that they deserve a big raise. So all the constitutional officers in the state of Illinois are getting a raise, and everybody in the General Assembly is getting a raise. People in the Illinois General Assembly, which is supposed to be a part-time job, are now going to be making $85,000 a year on the back of the taxpayers here for really performance that is, to say a subpar would be saying it nicely here. So we've got big problems in this state, and people need to wake up and, start taking a look at the people who are representing them and the people that aren't. You got all of these urban legislators that, are supposed to be representing these folks, but they're destroying opportunity. They can't say that they are fighting for the working man. You hear this all the time in Springfield. Democrats say they're fighting for working people. They're fighting for union jobs. They're doing that. But every policy that they push just ensures that no job creator is going to come here and create a job when you can go across the river in Missouri or Indiana or Wisconsin, and they're much more favorable to job creators there. That's unacceptable.
Representative, with this Illinois assault weapons ban, the task at hand, what can our Illinois listeners do? Are you all setting up something, a website, a legal defense fund? Is there a place they can go? Yeah. What can our Illinois listeners do to help you?
Yeah, so you can go to our State Freedom Caucus. There's links there to support the court cases that are going to be coming up against this. You can go to the FFL organization here in the state of Illinois. They're leading the charge on some of this. The Illinois State Rifle Association. These groups are coming together. This is going to be fought in court, and that's going to happen pretty soon. The hope is this case is going to get heard, and they're going to put an immediate stay on this, so that this law will go out of effect until the time that it goes through the actual court. Because the governor signed this last night, and it is in effect in the state of Illinois right now.
Tim, who is it that we had earlier on in the week that's the chair of the State Freedom Caucus?
Andy Roth.
Yes, we had him on earlier in the week. I'm sure you're aware of him.
Yes.
Yep, Andy's a great guy.
Yes, he is. Yes,
For
he
sure.
is. Well, Representative, we feel for you. We hate that our neighbors, such as yourself, or such good-thinking Americans, have to deal with all of this, and we wish you all the best, and let us know how we can help you in the future. We'd love to have you back on once this starts getting through the court system.
Thank you for being on.
Absolutely. People need to wake up. That's the best thing that we can do right now, support the guys that are out there on the front lines.
Thank you very much. Illinois State Representative Blaine Willauer. Have a great evening. At Blaine Willauer on Twitter. All right. Sounds like a fine fella.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like he's been there a long time. So he's eager and very well versed.
Mm-hmm. Boy, he is fighting a Leviathan every day. That is for sure. 5:45 in the PM. Would you like to weigh in on that discussion? Chris's Corner, Speaker Stump Speech, anything else we discussed today or we may have missed? Give us a call, 314-912-1019. Katie will answer the horn and put you on the air with Chris and I when we come back.
He did get a pay raise, though.
He did.
Right? That makes it a little better.
Yeah, a double-edged sword, right? We'll be right back. One more segment before we turn you over to Larry Connors here at 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
We're giving Lindsay Lohan the keys to the minibar.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. What a nice, mild January day. We still have time to enjoy it this evening before the changes roll in for Thursday. Overnight rain developing, a low of 38. May end as some wet snow in the mid to late morning. No accumulation, though. Just some wet melting snow possible. In the afternoon, dry 39. Cold and windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour. Friday, turning mostly sunny, but a chilly day. A low of 27 and a high of 36. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Katie, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Buckle up, Buttercup. What's new, fresh, and definitely shaking up the airwaves?
Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge presents The Definitely Holly Show.
Hi, this This is Holly, a conservative millennial, and I am proud to be the newest member of the News Talk STL family. Every Saturday, we tackle controversial and hot topics and what's going on in our local community.
The Definitely Holly Show.
This Saturday evening at 5
on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson here. Everybody here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth of our business during our first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Clear Path Wealth Management, STL Fence Works, and Michael's Flooring that have all become advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. Thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hi, Jen Wallner here. As a former foster child myself, I have always been an advocate for foster children in our community. Angels Arms is an amazing organization that provides a stable, nurturing, and loving family environment for these children. They ensure these children have not only the childhood they deserve, but the resources needed to become successful, thriving adults. I truly believe that this organization is transforming lives, and I could not be more proud to be a small part of that accomplishment. For more information or to get involved, visit angelsarms.org.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On Thursday's program, wait, there are actually some more Biden files? No, come on, that can't be. All right, we're talking about it.
Mornings starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Katie, I'm glad we're heading back to the big studio soon because I get so discombobulated not seeing a red light go on.
I know. I know. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we have two clocks in here, but we have our big clock that doesn't work.
Now it's 9 p.m.
Now it's 9 p.m.
How did that happen? That clock got really off.
We don't have an on-air light outside of our studio or in our studio. So
I've actually gotten used to it, kind of.
Really?
Not having it, but we do have a red light usually.
Yeah, we do. Outside of the studio so the people know and in the studio.
When we get back in our big studio, we're going to be like, hey, over there.
Yes,
it's
yeah.
like 4 times the size of this
Yeah,
one.
so much room.
But
Oh,
thank
God, it's
goodness we
beautiful.
had this. Thank goodness Joe and Jeff and Tony had the foresight to build all of this.
Yeah.
I think at first when we all came in here, we're like, why do we have all these? What are we doing? And we have used every single one of these studios,
Literally.
sometimes twice in one day.
We've built, I mean, we just built another studio because we have so much going on. And even if the flooding didn't happen and we were still back in our original air studio, I mean, we would need to build another production room no matter what. We have so much happening constantly on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, every time I come in, there's like new faces.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're growing. It's
Something-
beautiful. Literally.
It is.
Really?
And how crazy is that the engineers that we work with, Gino and the gang,
Right.
that they can literally build a studio in an afternoon? You couldn't do
Amazing.
that. Now, these guys are truly talented, but the technology and the know-how, and I don't know what they're doing with the buttons and the wires and all that, but they literally built a studio out of nothing
In
the
a
other
day.
day.
Yeah.
In a day.
And the fact that we can broadcast from the Capitol on opening day.
Yes.
Basically using computers.
Yep.
But it sounds like we're,
Here.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
We used our setup, and Joey plugged all the wires and buttons in, and then I walked out of my house. So I texted Joey and I said, "Hey Joey, should I bring my iPad so we can do the streaming?" So when you folks were watching us in the Missouri Capitol last week, we were streaming over a it wasn't my iPad because I forgot my iPad. I grabbed my stand. I have this stand for my iPad. I grabbed the stand and I walked right past the iPad when I left my house. So I showed up at the Capitol and Joey's like, I'm holding the stand in my hand. And Joey goes, "You forgot the iPad, didn't you?" I go, "Yeah, but I had the stand."
But I have this.
So I got to give a shout out. He may or may not hear this because he's in Springfield, but somebody will probably tell him. Representative Bishop Davidson of Springfield came to our aid and saved us. He was walking through the rotunda, and I happened to know him and from Springfield, and I said, "Bishop, do you have anything?" Because he's a younger guy, he's a tech savvy guy, he loves radio. He sometimes fills in for me down there. I said, "Do you have a streaming device?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a couple of them. What do you want?"
Oh, great.
And he brought it up, and I was like, "Joey, I don't know what to do." It wasn't an iPad. It was something like that. And I go, "Joey, I don't know what to do with this." Joey goes, "Don't worry about it." Joey had it all hooked up and streaming us to the world in like 10 minutes.
It's so great.
amazing.
So we work with so many talented people.
Never
We're
gets
very
flustered.
lucky.
I know I say that all the time, but I mean, he never gets flustered, anything. He's always cool as a cucumber.
Dude is cool as a cucumber. He got to work some of the World Series games.
I remember that, yeah.
This past fall, which is really neat. Our engineers get to they do a lot of things besides working with us here, and it's pretty darn cool. All right, 5:53, almost 5:54 in the PM. We're about to hand you off to Larry Connors USA. I did see that the Republicans were able to leverage something recently, another victory for them. Chris, the U.S. military has dropped the vaccine mandate.
Yeah. So now those that left the military, I think they're looking for them to be reinstated. That didn't occur in this bill. This was in the omnibus that passed that allowed that. There's two thoughts on it. One is, should these people be reinstated because they had a decision of conscience? But then you have others who are saying that this was a legal order, and if you allow these folks back in, you're sending the message that you can disobey a legal order for conscience reasons. So I'm conflicted with it personally.
Did those military members leave? Did they leave because they said, "Okay, this is an order that we do not want to follow, and we're leaving," or were they forced?
I think they were forced, weren't they, Tim? I think some of them left, and many
they
of
had
them
to.
were forced.
They had to. Now see, because if you're going to ask me my legal opinion on this, it's kind of hard to give you one because this was not a law, right, that was passed. These were military rules and regulations. But in the law, Chris actually makes a valid point. A lot of times, it's called ex post facto. It's a Latin phrase. When a law is passed later on, you can't go back and remedy stuff that happened before it. The law takes effect on that day and you move forward. Now, I don't know what the situation is with military rules and regulations, but tomorrow's Thursday, which means we have Dakota Wood
that's right.
on tomorrow.
That's a great point. Does that also mean that employees that were fired because they didn't take the vaccine and their employers said you have to take it to work here? Is that the same concept?
No, because there was no federal.
And that was the military.
Never
It depends on company mandates.
Yeah,
I'll give you a good example of like a very simple example of an ex post facto law. So where you're not going to get relief. So let's say you get Katie, you're flying home this afternoon to see Maeve. And let's just say hypothetically you're going over the speed limit, which I know you never do.
Never.
But let's say you're going. We'll make it simple. You're going 75 and a 70, okay? And you get a ticket for 75 and a 70. And then next week, Nick Schroer passes a law to raise the speed limit to 80, okay? You can't argue, well, now the speed limit's 80, so I wasn't violating the law. Okay, because the alleged offense was already committed, so you can't ex post facto yourself into not guilty.
That was a dumb question. I knew exactly. I'm like, what?
No, it wasn't a dumb question. No, it wasn't a dumb question.
No, not at all. Because
it's a different scenario.
Yeah, one is kind of the military, and the other one's kind of a private,
private
situation. But Tim, does this situation with the military, them reversing it, does it give people that want to sue their employers, their private employers, some ammunition to win damages?
Yeah, you know what we call that? We call that a persuasive argument, not binding, but Katie, you and Chris, you're making the point. So if the military does this, then folks can go back to their employer and go, the entire U.S. military has reversed course. Don't you think that was maybe a smart thing to do? And what are you going to do about it now? So it's a very persuasive, I would use that argument. It's a very persuasive argument that it never should have been a mandate in the first place.
Yes.
Excellent point indeed. All right, Wednesday is in the can, but go nowhere. Larry Connors, USA, is up next. You're going to want to listen to that in its entirety as it heads up to the O'Reilly Report. Chris, Katie, and I back tomorrow for Thursday with Dakota Wood and more here at 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
So you want Steph's Pizza, but you're in Lake St. Louis and it's just too far to go. Not anymore. Now you can feed that Steph's Pizza craving quickly and conveniently in Lake St. Louis. Same great menu with a new location. 111 Pond Fort Trail in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis. Check them out at Steph'sPizza.com because tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michael's. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance? Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Local Republican leaders in New York on Wednesday called for the immediate resignation of new GOP Congressman George Santos, who responded that he won't resign.
The call by more than a dozen Republican lawmakers in Nassau County for George Santos to resign was an extraordinary rebuke of the freshman congressman.
He's not welcome here at Republican headquarters.
County Republican Committee Chair Joseph Cairo.
And we do not consider him one of our congresspeople.
Santos is facing multiple investigations over his personal and campaign finances and lies about his resume and family heritage. Republican Hempstead Supervisor Don Clavin.
He's an international joke, but this joke's got to go, and it's on us calling him for to resign immediately.
Santos on Capitol Hill flatly rejecting the call. Speaking with ABC News' Rachel Scott.
Will you step down? I will not.
Julie Walker, New York.
Multiple outlets are reporting that a second batch of potentially classified documents from then Vice President Biden have been found at a different location than ones that were discovered earlier this week. The revelation that Mr. Biden potentially mishandled classified documents could prove to be a political headache for the president because he had called out former President Trump on the same issue. Congressman Mike Turner says that Biden's retention of the documents potentially puts him in violation of laws protecting national security. Air traffic is still trying to recover from this morning's shutdown of all flights because of a